Hey everybody, this is Mitch, TD, and we're out here on a beautiful fall morning, Rocky Bay. It's a little foggy outside.
Yep, nice morning.
So we figured we'd shoot a little quick video for you guys, kind of an update video, as well as some of the benefits of this home we're building compared to some of the stick-built homes in the area. So yeah, if you want to start.
Yeah, one thing we wanted to point out was the road is right next to the building. So it's about 25 feet from the highway to the building. And what you're gonna notice is when we go inside, we've got a couple things we're gonna talk about leading in the waterfall and some of the other ambient noise we did, but these buildings are quiet. So we'll show that now, right by the highway, and we'll show you what, we'll splice in a couple of videos of the cars going by and the noise.
Okay, so we've walked down from the street, as you can see over here. The street's right above us. We're about, what, 5 feet below, TD?
Yeah, I'd say we're about 5 feet below. We dropped the building down, and then you can see this berm we put up there to block the noise out from the road. And then this water feature here was designed to really create a lot of white noise as this waterfall comes down and splashes for the guests that are outside the building. What you're gonna notice is that inside these insulated concrete buildings, it is stone quiet. We're gonna show you that in a second, but it is stone quiet. It's just like Mitch and I were just talking about an expensive car. If you've ever been in one where you close that door and all the noise is gone, that's what these ICF buildings create inside. It's just silent inside.
Yeah, it's the difference between a Kia and a BMW as far as sound goes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in an area where there's an ICF builder, the costs are the same. If you're building out of stick, you're an idiot. I don't know why you would.
In this area, absolutely.
I mean, the interior walls are fine to do out of stick, but for your exterior, the efficiency, the noise deadening, the value that goes into building, as well as just being a 200-year wall compared to building out of organic material, 2x4s, you know, it's just stupid. I don't know why you do it.
Right, yeah, and the cost of lumber these days is just rising, so.
Yeah, and the cost for a carpenter, $60 here an hour.
Yeah, they don't
for
want
a prevailing wage. So we'll go inside and we'll show you guys how quiet these are. You're gonna notice that the road noise is gone. The rest of the video, you probably won't hear anything. So, one thing that's really immediate is, you know, when we're in here, you can hear, like, audibly, all the outside noise is gone.
Absolutely gone.
Right? So one thing we wanted to talk about, because we get a lot of questions on it, is how do you do electrical in these walls? You can see it here, electrical and mechanical. Basically, once the walls are up, this insulation is no longer structural. It's used to pour the concrete when the concrete is setting up. Once the concrete's set up, the concrete is your structural integrity for the building. And you can cut this horizontally the entire way around the wall. So it's really easy to run electrical. It's really easy to run that conduit through the wall. It's really easy to cut for plumbing. It's just simple. So you can see how we hot knifed this out to remove the foam, and it cuts right through the heavyweight plastic. The other thing that's cool about these is, where can we see any of the heavyweight plastic? There you go. So some of the foam got knocked away here. The heavyweight plastic, this plastic, I can put a screw in there, and one screw will hold 90 pounds of weight. Mm-hmm. So your TV, all that stuff, you can mount right to this. 90 pounds, but what's cool about it, if you've ever had Trex deck, is when you back that screw back out, you can put another screw right next to it. Mm-hmm. Unlike a 2x4 or wood wall, it's not falling apart. You know, if you ever put a screw into wood and you back it out, you've destroyed that section of wood.
You have to find another spot to mount.
And if you try to put another screw next to it, it will try and find that same hole. Mm-hmm. So it just becomes degraded over time that you put screws into wood, whereas this closes back in. If you ever see a Trex deck, it'll suck a screw in. It'll disappear.
Right, it's self-healing at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really healing, but basically, when you back that out, you got a tiny little speck where that screw used to be. You'll never notice again. Put another screw right next to it. Mm-hmm. So it's a superior product in that point. But what's cool about it is that plastic is inside and outside. So your drywall, screw it right up to it. Wherever it says Fox block on this block, you can see that's where the heavyweight plastic is. And on the outside, same thing. Siding goes up on the outside.
Right, and the benefit of this is that these high-density plastic studs are actually 8 inches on center.
Yep.
So instead of going every 16 inches or even 24 inches for that matter, you have a lot more options for mounting,
Yeah.
for anything.
You got a lot of heavyweight plywood, a lot of places that you can put these, anything you want to mount things up.
Right.
What you see here, the metal here is put up as a support. No, I'm sorry. I believe it's heat transfer for our stove. I'll have to check on that. But the bottom line is what you're going to see throughout here with the plumbing as well is it's very simple to run your pipes, to run your plumbing, to cut these out, and then what you see here is they've gone back in and then used expanding foam to close that insulation back in so you don't have any thermal barrier or any thermal bridging through the concrete to allow heat to come in and out.
Right.
The walls themselves are standard. So interior walls, we've gone with 2x6 here, but interior walls are standard walls. There's no reason to use ICF inside your wall. It's just like a Yeti cooler. You know, you've got your Yeti cooler keeping all the heat inside the building. The interior walls are partitions.
Right.
You know,
and the benefit to that is that in the future, if you were to expand or maybe you want to open it up a little bit because your kids are grown, you can actually knock down the interior walls without affecting the exterior.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. Like the office building that we have down in Lakewood. That's a 6,000 square foot office building. If we want to knock all those interior walls down,
Right.
and say a dentist wants to come in and put up a different schematic, the building, it's really easy.
Right.
None of those walls are load bearing. You take them all down, put a new office building up, and it's really just I use Yeti cooler just because people understand it, but you're basically buying a really good exterior wall. The interior shell, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Because these walls are load bearing, one thing we were going to talk about is our roof, right? This roof structure, we could do this without any interior load bearing walls because the walls, the roof structure is supported by the walls, right? So the concrete walls are supporting that roof structure.
Yeah, and we threw a beam up here, but other than that.
Yeah, and this beam is to carry the load of this side.
Right.
So when you come out, this building's shaped like an L. So we have that main beam going through the middle to carry the load on this side, which is a master bedroom. What you notice when we do these walls, here in the Pacific Northwest, we do a lot of big windows. And it's simple to do, even though you look at this wall as an example. This wall is all window, right? But we reinforced around the wall, inside of this concrete before it was poured, there is extra rebar that was structurally engineered into it for this opening. So that you can have this big opening, and we could have gone even bigger if we wanted.
Yeah.
And had just a wall of windows. A lot of times we'll have these upper windows will be clerestory windows like these two in the middle to open and allow the heat to be transferred in and out. You know, so on a hot day, you open those up, the heat comes in.
Yeah, like in that Gig Harbor house we built, the other Gig Harbor house, that's how the cooling's done. There's not even an AC unit in there.
Yeah, exactly. This building has a split unit. They're so efficient, we didn't need much. But we have a split unit for heating and air conditioning. And then we have these wall units in each room to facilitate heating and cooling. So the heating and cooling, I mean, you know, from our building,
Right.
it's really simple. These buildings are so efficient that you only need a little bit of heating and cooling. I think the house that we were talking about yesterday is 5,000 square feet, and it comes on in the middle of winter, 25 degrees. It comes on for about an hour in the morning.
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
It's not on the rest of the day.
And there are a ton of windows in that home as well.
Oh man, yeah, there's a ton
So
of windows.
the
It's so
thermal
bright.
transfer is just non-existent at that point.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah. What else could we talk about? I think.
I mean, the flooring, I know it's covered at the moment.
Yeah.
But we did the flooring. I got a video up about a week or so ago, you know, with some details of the flooring. But yeah, those cedar expansion joints are pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I don't know if there's anywhere we can show them, but basically what we've done is concrete cracks, right? Unless you get a polymer modified concrete blend and you really work hard to make sure you have good expansion joints, it cracks. So what we did in this building was we did a floor that was made of concrete and wood to allow the concrete to expand. The wood's the expansion joint, and then we grind the floor down, we sanded the wood down, and we're going to go over it all with a polymer clear coat. So, and we're going to use a slip resistance as well. I think we're going to use, I can't remember if we're going to use Shark Grip or one of the others, but we're going to go with the slip resistance additive as well in entryways. But it should be pretty cool. The cedar was milled here locally and milled for this job. And the concrete obviously was local. We ground that down, exposed a lot of the aggregate, and the cedar looks really nice.
Yeah,
so
it's gonna really pop once that
I think it
top
should.
layer is on there as well.
Yeah, I think it should look really nice. And this is our first stab at a wood and concrete floor. We've done wood and concrete tables. We've done polymer wood and concrete tables, and so we played with those variables a lot.
Yeah, it's turning out really nice. Yeah, they covered the flooring, unfortunately, for the drywallers to come in and not to affect that.
For their mud.
Yeah, and you can see the grade. I mean, we're only a couple feet above the actual ground outside, which is kind of nice. But as you've noticed, while we're shooting this video, you hear none of that road noise. It's absolutely quiet.
It's very quiet in this building.
It's nearly a studio microphone booth.
Oh yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, it is super quiet. I guess we could talk about the exterior deck. What we did was a little bit different out here. On the exterior floor, instead of cedar, we went with a Trex deck. So it's a plastic product that we're going to grind down and can be exposed to the Pacific Northwest outside elements. Obviously, we're right here on the water. You got a lot of salt water in the air. You got a lot of rain in this area in the winter time. So this deck will take a beating. So outside, we could have gone with cedar. We opted to go with Trex deck, just to have that weather ability just a little bit stronger.
Right.
We're gonna have a jacuzzi over here for the renters. This is gonna be a nightly rental. And then the outside patio here, barbecue, fireplace, and then against this wall will be the big screen for those Seattle Seahawks games, not the 49ers. No, I'm just kidding.
Careful, the dislike ratio on the video.
Yeah. And then we're gonna do fruit trees in the corner over there. Just aesthetics, fruit trees, celebrate Washington. And let the nightly renters come in and pick some fruit. Probably peaches, apples, pears. Yeah.
The typical Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Pie ingredients.
What we did right here was an outdoor shower. So people are coming up from kayaking or swimming in the ocean, and they want to jump in the jacuzzi. Before they do, maybe they want to rinse off the salt water.
Is this hot and cold?
Hot and cold. Yeah. Hot and cold outdoor shower. And again, this is really easy to do. We already have the insulation. So we've cut into that insulation. Then after we put in the plumbing, this hasn't been painted yet, but after we put in the plumbing, we insulated that with that expanding foam again, and then covered it so that it's not exposed to the elements, and it's weather tight.
Awesome.
What we're doing here, this will be another video, but what you have here this is called spider lath. But this is a unique spider lath. It has a 1/4-inch backer rod on the back side, and that pushes this spider lath off the wall 1/4-inch, so that we can, when we come back over here, we're using our own polymer modified concrete blend to cover this wall. It's gonna look like stucco, but it'll be colored a charcoal gray, like a darker gray. And it'll be 1/4-inch behind the wall, obviously, or behind the spider lath, and then 1/4-inch to a 1/2-inch on this side. It'll look like a stucco, like a charcoal gray stucco.
Right.
But it's gonna be polymer modified concrete, our blend, that is water resistant.
Are we stamping this as well?
We're gonna texture it. Yeah.
Texture it, okay.
We got a what is it? I think it's a heavy slate texture we went with.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting. The polymer modified concrete, we know weathers well here. We've tested it the last 1.5 years. We know it weathers well here, but this will be a good test to see how it does on the entire building.
Absolutely. And speaking of the concrete, do you want to go talk about the retaining walls that we just finished?
Oh, yeah.
Or, well, poured, I should say. Spread.
Yeah, sure. I'll wait till we get over here.
Yeah.
Let me see, I'll pick a good section that's kind of clear, maybe. Okay, so this is a little bit hard to see right now because it hasn't been colored. But what we did is we had a situation where we needed a retaining wall. Now we could have carved this wall and made it look like made it look like rock, or what people call faux rock out of concrete. However, that's time consuming and it's expensive. So we use this option to show people what you can do as opposed to a retaining wall. We laid this down on a 3-to-1 profile, which means, it's going back 3 feet and up 1 foot, right? Mm-hmm. So 3-to-1 profile that's easily climbable. Instead of your straight up and down retaining wall, laid it down on a 3-to-1. We textured it, and you can see where we put some real rock in with it. This will be ornamented, I guess you'd say, with this is what people refer to as a hardscape, because it's not taller than 4 feet, so it's not your standard retaining wall, but it is engineered retaining wall with at the top we will do a series of plants, ferns, weeping willows, that kind of stuff around the outside to dress it up. But it's a great way for us to do a retaining wall and open up this area so it's not so tight when you're walking through. Mm-hmm. Next to the waterfall.
Right, we can kind of see that here. If we were to have a vertical retaining wall here, you would have claustrophobia happening right here, but having that open and sloped out like that, and still having the function of a real retaining wall, really opens that up.
Yeah, and it goes to our first desire, which was to drop the building down behind this berm so that we were out of the road noise.
Right.
Because what's interesting about this building is inside the building, obviously you don't hear anything because of the ICF walls. But outside the building, when people are entertaining, you want to cut out that road noise.
Right.
80%, I think, I forget what the study was, of the road noise comes from tires.
Absolutely.
So blocking out the tire noise, is really, you're blocking out the bottom 2 feet of the road. So when this waterfall is going, even though we're having, even the busiest times, we're having a lot of traffic go by, when you're standing in the front deck entertaining that patio area where the entertainment area is going to be, barbecuing or whatever, you can't hear the road noise.
Right.
So the combination of the waterfall being below the elevation and then having that berm there does a really good job.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's noticeable. When we walk up here, especially.
Oh, yeah.
It's incredibly noticeable, but it looks good too.
Yeah.
Once all this grass continues to grow, and then, like you said, we get the weeping willows and whatnot in, it's going to look really good. It's a pretty landscaping out here.
Yeah, and I think you can tell that by taking the retaining wall and opening it up away, it creates more of a feeling of openness. And this will be really, that feeling will be heightened when we complete the building and we've got this all colored and landscaped. You'll be able to see the whole thing.